Hello, dear ones. Thank you for joining me for this new moon in Capricorn mini retreat. So as I said in my email, I wanted to do, I didn't want to leave you hanging, didn't want to leave you hanging. And I don't want to leave me hanging either, but I just didn't have the energy to really actually to market it, to be quite honest with you, just to put out all the emails and, generate interest and stuff like that. So I just decided, as part of the New Year resolution or New Year gift to you, I wanted to continue the conversation, but to do it in this way where I'm gifting it to you as a New Year's gift. So, and I thank you for those of you who've already come along, and we're continuing our conversation. We'll be back live next month, next new moon. But in the meantime, this is a really important new moon. Let's dive in, shall we? So Capricorn new moon, and if the new moon energy, let's back up. Let's go back to new moon. What is a new moon? What does that mean? Why are we gathering? What's its importance? And the new moon, the moon itself. So we stand here on Earth. We are these beings standing on Earth. And we have, the sun is the center of our solar system. And it's really, the sun is always on. It's bright. It's full steam ahead. It's like our society. It's like the internet. It's like the ways that we move in the world. It's like our external world, metaphorically, like how we move. We're always on and going, and how our outwardly facing self. And the moon is different. She has her own dance. So we're standing on Earth and we're in a solar society, and the moon is our way that we connect in with our emotional body and how we connect in back with ourselves. And the moon goes through phases. She rests, she grows, she peaks, she declines and comes home, and does this all over and over again. There's this rhythm to the moon. And that's just like our emotions. Our emotions have a rhythm if we choose to step into and pay attention to them. And when you do this, then you are able to create a rhythm with yourself. If you start to move with lunar rhythms, and lunar rhythms teach you about the bigger and smaller rhythms that we are in tune with, such as our breathing cycle, our day and night rhythm, our menstrual rhythms, our yearly seasonal rhythms. And then the other planets, the moon isn't the only planet that has a rhythm. We have, our whole galaxy has rhythm. But the one, and I think the best entryway into really working with our energy and ourselves and our emotional body, is to work with the lunar rhythm. It has enough time to be impactful. And it also it's a mirror. It really can be a mirror for all the other rhythms in your life. And as all of you that I know are listening to this are smart, beautiful, driven women who are creative and are the placeholders in the structures and pillars of your families, of your communities, of your projects. And as such, I think that it is very important to have a place to go, to have a touch point, to gather yourself and get aligned with your heart, your spirit, your emotions, your body, and to really kind of have a moment to, as I like to say, like, who am I and what am I doing? Like, where am I in space and time? Because we're moving so fast and giving so much all the time that we need a moment to pause and come home to ourselves and really set the tone. And the moon is such a beautiful way to do this, because when we're in the new moon, you don't see the moon. It's considered dark. But what's really happening is it's sitting right in front of the sun. So it's backlit by the sun. And it's almost like it's docking with the sun and it's getting charged up. So if you can imagine, what we see as darkness, but behind the moon is the sunlight that's coming in and charging it up. And then, as it starts to grow, it goes out and moves out and away from the sun. And when it's full, it's directly across from the sun. So it's being fully illuminated. And then it starts to wane, where it comes back in, it gets darker and comes back into the sun, to sit in front of the sun. And so this is a moment, it's a liminal space between one cycle ending and another one beginning. And it's a perfect time to find alignment because the sun with its solar, like outwardly facing energy is docked, is mooring the moon as it's come home and is resetting. And they're both in the same astrological sign at this point. And this month, this new lunar cycle is Capricorn. And we just came off Sagittarius cycle, and Sagittarius is a fire sign. And it's interesting because all fire signs are followed by earth signs. And so fire, if you can imagine, has this like, it has a lot of energy to it. And earth condenses and consolidates, and it takes things and brings them into form, into matter. And so we've come off this Sagittarius cycle, and now we're moving into Capricorn. Like I said, is an earth sign, and it's the sea goat. So it's a mythical creature that is comfortable on climbing mountains and in the water. And so it's able to, and the water can be like our watery emotions. And we're going to bring in this mythical creature to be able to move with our desires and our emotional waters, but bring them into form with the more climbing aspect of the goat. And Capricorn is a cardinal sign. So that means the cardinal signs, they initiate a season. They bring in their new energy. They're like an opening move. And if you can imagine the opening move for Earth, what would be the opening move to bring something into form? That's planning. It's building things step by step by step by step. And that is what Capricorn does. It takes each step and it helps you, if you can imagine, climb a mountain, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. So what are the plans? What are the steps that you take to get there? Let me just check my notes real quick so I can make sure I make sure I can fill out what I'm trying to say and say it and not forget anything. So Capricorn is about focus. It's about our career. It's about our status and the way that we're seen in the world. And Capricorn often gets a bad rap. The earth signs, I feel like, get a bad rap because, if you're like fiery and airy and watery and earth comes in and they're like, wah, wah. What are we going to do about that? How do we create the container? And a lot of times if you want to be out, and creating a container can feel confining, right? But what we're doing is we're creating structure and boundaries and steps that bring the dreams, bring the watery emotions, bring our heart's desire, bring the things that matter into form and move them forward to build our legacy. And that's the status piece. We're building our legacy, and Capricorn needs to be in integrity. It needs to be connected with something that's important and true and something that's come from the heart, from their soul, from their spirit, to bring it into form. And what a perfect sign to have in the new year, right? Because everyone's setting their New Year's intentions, and some people do it, flippantly. Some people, there's so many ways to set New Year's intentions, but the way that I'm inviting you to do this New Year's intention is to come into it, setting up the steps, using this Capricorn energy to build something. And it doesn't have to be built in a day. And you're not the horse racing out of the gates. You're not this fiery energy. It's the earth energy. And it's a goat, and it's climbing step by step by step. So what I'm inviting you to do on this Capricorn new moon is to set the intention. What is the essence of what your heart desires? What is the piece? Where do you want to go this year? And I gave you this little 2022 cycle, really simple printable. And I am inviting you to move either with me or on your own through each new moon cycle and setting, intentions, coming home, those touch points, and taking the essence of what you really want to do for this new year, instead of just going out of the gates and blowing it all on the first day, really, day or two. What is the essence of what you want to do this year? And working it like a prayer. through each lunar cycle as you come into them with the theme of each lunar cycle, or not, just coming into each lunar cycle, taking a moment at the new moon to set an alignment with yourself, even if it's just like, hello, where is my essence? Where is the essence of this prayer that I'm moving through this year? And coming home to it, just even once a month, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, finding that touch point with yourself to move with this piece. So Capricorn, we are going to move through Capricorn today, and we're going to set our lunar new moon energy with that. And at this point, I would like to also point out, because I think this is a really important thing, is that with Capricorn, again, the earth signs get a bad rap, right? And because there is this pressure to succeed with Capricorn, and there's this energy when it flips into the shadow is to overwork and to just go, like always moving, always climbing, always going. And they can step on other people when they do that. They can step on themselves, and they can just go imbalanced too far one direction and get stuck and stubborn and overpowering, and the flip side of that is stability, strength, and determination. So you can kind of see how they're similar, but one is supportive and the other one is burnt out. And it's interesting because the tarot card in the deck for Capricorn is the Devil. And I'm going to pull the Devil card. I have a little altar here, and I pull cards, and I'll talk about them later. But the Devil is like the shackles that we put on ourselves. It's the places where we go out of balance. And, you can see these people are shackled, but they really can pull the chains off themselves. And a lot of times it's associated with addictions and burden, and just ways that we kind of fool ourselves. And so where are you out of balance? Where are those places that you can bring instability, that you can take the chains off yourself and create the structures to help move you forward? And so that's the Capricorn energy. It looks very, the Devil always seems very ominous, but I think it often comes up as a warning sign, or a consideration. Again, just where are you out of balance? Where have you tipped too far into a certain energy, and how can you have the power and the free will to get out of that energy? And so let's work with that. Let's work with that energy and really call it into form with our earth. Again, it's cardinal, it's initiatory energy. And yeah, that's what I'm going to say about that for now. So I would like to start us off with just a moment that was a lot of talking to begin with. And what I'd like to do is get that energy in our body and get ourselves kind of aligned with that new moon. So if you have an oil, and for the earth signs, the 3 oils that I like to use are Atlas cedarwood, vetiver, or patchouli. So if you have one of those, if one of them is calling to you, grab it. And I'm going to use vetiver, which is the root. It's a very rooty oil, so it really kind of brings you down. And if I want to be, connected with my steps, I'm connected with my feet, and really that sort of climbing piece. So I'm getting my vetiver out and just saying hello to my oil, and then dropping a drop on my finger. And if you don't have an oil, that's totally fine. Don't worry about it. But you can still put your finger or your hand on the point that we're doing, and call yourself home with this point that we're doing. And so the point we're doing is from the belly button. So put your finger in your belly button and then go down about 1.5 inches. And there's like that rise that comes just after the belly button. There's like a mound, and at the top of the mound, about 1.5 inches below the belly button, is our point, conception vessel 6. And this point is a building point. It's a point where we build our energy. It's this gateway into our lower pelvis as well. So it has this ability, if you can almost imagine calling all of your energy home into this point there. So if you don't have the oil, just place one hand over your belly and then place the other hand on top of it, so that you're really like calling your energy home. And sit and close your eyes. Begin to take a few breaths. Deep breaths in. Into the belly. And just letting yourself really come home to yourself. What does that look like, feel like? Where are all the pies that you have your fingers in? Take your finger out of every pie, every person, every project, everything that you're doing mentally, and draw it home. All those tethers. Call them home into this point, this power point. You're gathering yourself back. And all three of the oils that I mentioned are very centering and stabilizing. And we're putting it on this point that is also centering and stabilizing. And imagine yourself growing roots, sending them down into the earth. And this is an earth sign. It's all about bringing things into form. So as you set your roots down, I'd also invite you just to send anything down to those roots that's heavy or burdening you. Anything that's undigested, it's like old projects or patterns, or again, just other people's stuff, just send it down to the earth, let it be composted. So you do that, just feeling the pelvic bowl broaden out as your sit bones plug into where you're sitting, imagining your hip bones kind of widening out and just creating space for you. And feeling your spine as it moves up and stacks upon that triangle bone at the base of your pelvis. So we have this nice stable base of our pelvis, and then the spine just unfurls from there as it comes up to meet the back of the skull. Feeling your head and all the ideas that are maybe just still swirling around in there, and that's okay. Feeling how the head is also connected to the pelvis. It doesn't exist on its own. And how the pelvis is connected with your feet. Really remembering you have a body. And then opening up the crown of your head and inviting in the heavenly energies. Inviting in that sun and that moon, how they're together. Feeling how powerful that is. Letting yourself align with that. Letting that filter down through the top of your head, moving down through your center line, moving into that pelvis as well. And then when you're ready, release your hands and rub them together, waking them up a little bit. If you have an oil in your hand, rub them in front of your face so you can smell the oil. We're waking up our hands. We're going to begin to write. And our heart is connected with our palms. So we're going to be moving from our heart to our hands, to our pen, to our paper. Shaking out anything that's old and stagnant so that nice and bright and fresh to do this work. So I didn't warn you about supplies. So at this point, you may want to pause this and go grab a couple of supplies. Or maybe actually I'll write it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it in the original email so that you have everything so that we don't have to stop. So let me rewind. You have your supplies. Get your supplies out, have them handy. And then I have my calendar here for the month of December. And I want you to have your calendar and just set it in front of you. And then you're also going to grab the Capricorn new moon printable that I like to make one for each month. And so you have that. And what we're going to do is we're going to move through the exercise that is, it's celebrate, release, and seed. And if you've never done this before, it's, again, we're in this liminal space between cycles. And what we want to do is we want to look at the last cycle and really see it, take it in and celebrate it, and really almost like we're digesting it so that we can actually, when we're moving to the next cycle, we're seeding it. Because what happens in our lives is we're moving so fast that we don't look back and see where we've been. And there might be things that are lingering. There might be also places that you need to celebrate, because when we're moving so fast, we don't see all the things that we're doing to appreciate how badass we really are. So this is an opportunity to see how amazing you are. And then from the things that you've wanting, from that place, then we will look to the future and look at the next cycle, because we're so easy to move on to the next thing, because that's how our culture is. But the moon invites us home to move in a different way, to have a container. And that's the feminine. That is a sacred feminine. It is the container which holds all the bigger movement of energy. And without the container, we really are, just to turn a phrase, we're over our skis, right? We're racing down the hill, but there's no balance. And so this is our way to bring balance back. So looking at your calendar, and I'm going to set a timer. And what we're going to do is we're going to look over the calendar from December 4th to today, and today being January 2nd. And just looking over the calendar, just kind of taking it in, just seeing what the themes are. What have you been doing? What things have you accomplished? Like we're not going anywhere big yet. You're just kind of just taking it in as a whole. And then before we get started, I would like you to just write on the back here, so we'll be a little bit more seamless. So we're turning over our Capricorn paper. Oops, not turning it over that way. We're turning it over this way. And you're going to write celebrate, release, and seed, so that it looks like this on the back. And I'm going to set a timer and we're going to do 2 minutes just gazing at the calendar, just kind of feeling through it, just kind of taking it in, getting an impression, just letting it kind of move through you. And then I will set 3 more timers, 1 for each category, 1 for celebrate, 1 for release, and 1 for seed. And as we move, out of the celebrate, then you'll look back at the calendar and be like, what do I want to celebrate from this last month? What do I want? And then we'll move on to the next one, release. What do I want to release for the next month? That's 2 minutes. And then we'll go into seed. And then from the celebrate and the release, and then also where you want to go, we're going to go into what we're going to seed, or just ideas of things that we could seed, because again, the new moon is a time of planting, right? We're going to plant the seed for the next cycle. And you don't have to, it doesn't have to be nailed down right now. Like, it's not like, again, we're in lunar space. Lunar space is like, I wonder what would happen if, or what would that feel like, or where do I want to go? We're really kind of setting the center, and then it will start to take more form as we continue through the rest of the class, this time together, and then also the rest of, as we move through the lunar cycle. So just, from the last month, what comes forward is something that you would want to take and move. And we are at the new year as well. So if you did the other work that I put out earlier this week about, reflect and release the past year, or if you already have some New Year's intentions, I would start writing them down in the seed category. So, all right, I'm going to start our timer. I'm going to give us a little music as we're going. Let me start the timer. So looking over your calendar for 2 minutes. Okay, that's 2 minutes. So now we are going to move into, what are you celebrating now that you've looked at your calendar? What do you want to celebrate? Just jotting some things down. There's no pressure to do anything. Get it right. Where do you want to take your victory lap? moving on to release. What feels heavy? What can you let go of? What's outlived its form and needs to be reborn in a different way? People, places, ideas. Anything that comes to mind from this last cycle or the last year, if you'd like to go there. You can also write down things that you're grieving. And lastly, what do you want to take with you into the next cycle? 2 minutes. Again, don't pressure yourself. What bubbles to the surface? And it's not set in stone. Okay. So hopefully you have something you can work with. And again, even if you don't, I would invite you to seed the invitation to step into, just to be with this liminal space and see what wants to emerge over the next couple of days. Oh, we're moving into the next, turning this over. And again, you can see this Capricorn, the sea goat, right? Again, equally adept at moving on land and in the watery emotional space. So there is this sort of, again, it's a mythical creature that can bring through the spirit and bring it into form. So what I have here, I have 3 words for us, and then I have 3 questions at the bottom. And the words, you can either draw a card for each one. You can free write for each one, and you can do it. I'll give you just a few minutes now if you'd like to. I'm going to do 2 minutes just total for the 3. So either pulling a card if you have your tarot deck or an oracle deck, or you can just free write. I align, I build, and I climb. And again, earth element is all about integrity. And integrity is when your thoughts and actions are in alignment. And Capricorn, I feel like it's the architect of the earth, because what it does is you're setting up the building instructions for the next steps, and you're setting up all the contractors, and you're setting up all the things that you need to succeed. So what is it? Are you the architect? You're the architect and the project manager, really, for your life at this point, Capricorn, this first place. And it's ruled by Saturn, which is all about structure. And again, structure can feel really rigid, or structure can set you free, because we need it to channel what we're bringing in with integrity, thoughts and actions in alignment, putting the blinders on, getting to where you want to go. So first of all, what is your mountain? Like, what is this mountain? Like, look at what you want to seed. What do you want to seed? What is the intention behind your seeds, that your New Year's intention, where you're going this year? That is your mountain. And then from there, you're going to set up the structures that will support you. And those structures could also be mental structures. You know, the first thing is to believe that you can achieve it. The second thing to do is to build it. So then what are the steps that you need to take to climb the mountain? And then again, the integrity piece. Are your thoughts and actions in alignment? And this can be, you can expand this out outside of the space and time that we have, but I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and you're either going to pull cards or you're going to start answering these questions for yourself. I know it's a big space, but we're moving through it. And again, you don't have to do everything. Do what calls to you. There is no right way to do it. This is an invitation. I am your guide, but it really, ultimately at the end, is choose your own adventure, you know, because what connects with you? Be your own sea goat. done for now. So that is, hopefully you have enough to work with for this month, for this lunar cycle, and to come up with an intention. So from here, you have this, what you want to seed, and you've done this work, and then coming up with an intention for this cycle. What are the steps? What would be a Capricorn intention for you? How do you move through where you want to go? What are you doing to support yourself? Write out the steps for this particular intention. The intention is what helps you find alignment. Now, I have this is the new moon in Capricorn affirmation that I got from the Ritual Society, which is it's a tarot society, and they do astrology, but I really like this intention, or affirmation. I'm going to share it with you. So, I can accomplish any goal I set for myself through steady progress and sustained effort. I can accomplish any goal I set for myself through steady progress and sustained effort. The Capricorn and the structures that you create for this new moon are what help you to keep showing up, That's Capricorn. Keep showing up no matter what storms or emotions or whatever gets in your way. You keep showing up for that particular mountain that you identify that you would like to climb for this cycle, potentially for this year. What is your mountain? What are the steps? Keep showing up. Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. This is a productive work cycle. If you'd like, you can come, and once you have set your intention, send me an email. Let me know. I always like to do a theme, like I'll have like a haiku, or I'll make a haiku from my intention, or maybe find a song that represents it, or a gesture. I feel like for me, the Capricorn is that it's a little bit of the blinder energy. It's the keep showing up, really like that goat, that left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. And Capricorn has to be an integrity of like what that true goal of has to come from the inside. It can't be from the external validation. It has to be from the internal validation of what you want to build. What do you want your legacy to be? And that could be the legacy for the cycle, but really it's the long-term legacy of what you're building in your family, in your community, in your profession, and the people you touch around you. But it comes from your heart. Tall order. It's always a tall order with these archetypal energies. So again, I invite you to come in and share with me your findings, because I would love to hear them. And I will, of course, write you back. And then I would like to share with you the card reading that I pulled. And now that you have a little bit more perspective, you can maybe enjoy this. So the cards, I pulled the Devil just to show the Capricorn energy where it can go and be if it's too heavy, or the warning signs. But I also like the term, the devil's in the details, right? Like, this is it. The devil is in the details. Can you create the structure? As an ADD woman, ADD person, for me, the devil is in the details. I get out of balance. I go off topic. It's so easy, and I'm grasping for other things. So my devil is the details. It is hard for me to sit and do this work. So devil, what's your devil? Where do you get off? And remembering that you have the ability to take off the chains. And I think it's so interesting that one of the cards I pulled was ring. And you see this ring down here where they're shackled, and the ring is the commitment that you make to yourself right now. The ring is the commitment that you make to be that sea goat, to keep showing up. And I am going to read the first line out of this book because I thought it was so perfect. It says, ring asks us to make decisions around what path to follow, what to connect ourselves to for the long term, and where to plant our feet. So where do you want to plant your feet? Put that ring on, make that commitment to yourself. Marie Forleo says, if you want to be liked, keep your commitments to other people. But if you want to be successful, keep your commitments to yourself. I'm paraphrasing, but that's the gist of it. You know, we have free will. Our free will is to keep going on the path, to choose the path and then to keep going. And then I like this one too. And I think it's interesting. I love the three cards together because there is this circle quality to it. It says, seek inspiration in unusual places. So as you're climbing this path, you know, and maybe not get totally knocked off of it, but again, one of the things for Capricorn, its shadow side is to be a workaholic and forgets to have some fun and to find balance. You know, Capricorn tends to not have balance and it can be kind of autocratic or dictator sort of energy and very heavy and bossy. So, you know, if you're getting into that energy, seek inspiration in unusual places. So how can you broaden your horizons? And I love that there's a stairs in here. You know, as you're climbing, maybe look up at the stars. Don't always be looking at your feet. You know, because when we're in the dark with our headlamp on, climbing the mountain, knowing where we want to go, but not knowing the full picture, sometimes we need to look up and seek inspiration from the sky. So remembering that. So I thought these cards were beautiful and timely. They always weave an extra poem into our time together. So in closing, just taking a few moments, closing your eyes. And this is a lot, especially without feedback and without each other this month. So taking a moment to thank yourself for showing up here. And even though we are not in the same time and space, I see you. I honor you. I honor your process, your mountain. I honor and see myself, my process, and my mountain. Remembering you are not alone. The moon is our guide, is our mentor, is our muse. And if you have shown up here, you are a beautiful woman who is holding the space for everyone else. But you've chosen to hold space for yourself today. For that, I thank you for coming along. And with this intention that becomes a prayer, a poem, a song, a haiku, a gesture, letting it grow, slowly being watered as the moon begins its next journey around the sun. Your hands together. Massage your face. Massage your scalp. Shake it out. So many blessings, so much love. My heart to yours. Mwah.